Ryan Show is proud to present a special, intimate interview with Lester McLean. Sit back and enjoy as Lester talks about music, life, and sports.
Special guest today, Lester McLean. Lester, you want to say hello to the people out there?
Hello to the people out there. How you doing? Nice to be here with 1 second left.
All right, so I don't know if we want to start off. Lester, I got a few questions so the people out there can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
All right. So, what sound do you love?
What sound do I love?
Yeah.
Are we talking about music?
What sound? Doesn't matter. What sound? What sound in the world?
You know what?
It could be music. Could be the sound of the saxophone.
Okay, I'll keep it hockey reference for now. I like the sound that a puck makes when it goes in off at the inside post at the top corner of the top shelf. I like that sound.
There you go.
That's a beautiful sound.
Beautiful sound. All right, the other question, Ryan?
No, keep firing away. Mine are a little more topical, I guess.
All right, what's the number one song you have played on your iPod right now?
Number one song I play on my iPod right now? Oh, jeez. Oh, man. You know what? For some reason, I've been into Level 42 a lot lately. Bands from the 80s, love them. Their biggest hit was Something About You and Running in the Family. So I would say a couple of their tunes are on my iPod right now. I've just been into them lately. But, you know, next week it could change. So, is that a good answer?
That's a great answer.
Okay.
All right. What's your favorite form of exercise?
Playing hockey.
Yeah?
Absolutely love it. I play year-round. I used to play softball. I miss it, but as a musician, there's not enough time for me to play softball 2 nights a week and then gigs. So hockey once a week during the summer and twice a week in the winter.
All right, a little bit more personal here. So, what value do you value most in people?
Integrity.
All right.
I want
easy answer there. Quick.
No, that's very important to me. It's very important to me, and I'm not complaining or anything, but I'm finding these days there's a surprising lack of integrity in our society. For a lot of reasons. Well, don't get me started. Or maybe you want to get me started. I don't know. ratings.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you could only see black and white except for one color.
If I could say again?
You can only see black and white except for one other color. What other color would that be?
Is that a fancy way of asking what my favorite color is?
Well, no, it might not be.
I'm sorry. Let me say blue.
And why blue?
I was in Cancun recently, May of this year.
Those pictures
and you know what? It is a wonderful thing to look at a wonderful blue sky and the blue ocean. So I'll say blue. You're not going to start bringing out like...
No. I got a couple more questions.
What's this?
Couple more questions.
Okay.
We're good to go. All right. What was your favorite food when you were a child?
I would say pizza.
Any toppings specifically?
You know what? Still is pizza. I think I love pizza. Pepperoni, bacon, extra cheese. Boom.
All right. Let me see. Let's just get into your musical form, I guess.
Sure.
So I read on your website that you quit playing guitar at age 12. Well, you're taking lessons.
Yes, that's very true.
So when did you pick it back up to learn how to play?
I actually, I'll start off by saying it's one of the things I regret in my life. That and I don't like to use the word regret in my life, but that and stop playing guitar when I did, or taking lessons when I did, and not pursuing my French in junior high are the two biggest regrets I have in my life so far. Not bad. I mean,
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. But I just from a very early age when I started playing the instrument, I got frustrated with just all the Mary Had a Little Lamb and all that stuff. I just wanted to play my songs, right?
Yeah, you want to get into the good stuff.
I want to get into the good stuff right away, and obviously that was impatience on my part as a 10 and 11-year-old. But I still love the instrument, so I just pursued it on my own as I could. And then when I got into high school, I started playing again because I joined a band. I was playing sax and singing in that, and singing a little bit at the time, but I wanted to start playing guitar again. So at that point, I'd finally learned some different chords and some comping things and some chicken and picking and some funky stuff. So that's when I started playing again.
So were you self-taught by high school, or did you go back and take some lessons?
No, I self-taught, sitting on the...
Would you say you picked up enough in your earlier lessons, or was it almost going back right back?
No,
to the start?
I built on what I learned in the lessons and took it forward.
I'm sure knowing saxophone helped and reading music helped.
Absolutely, that was key too. Of course, because by the time I got to junior high, I was 12 and started playing the saxophone and stuff like that. And clarinet first, then tenor sax. So yeah.
Always amazes me when someone can pick up an instrument, whether they've got a little bit of a background in it or not. And you were trained in saxophone at the time with a little bit of guitar. It always amazes me when somebody can pick up an instrument and go to the radio and have their ear pick up a song and be able to pick away at a song.
And that's how I learned.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. That's how I learned to sing too. You know, I would one of my earliest memories is sitting in a car or listening to the radio. We had a radio in our kitchen, and songs would play, and I would harmonize the melody with what the song was on. You know, so. I
don't have that talent. I can't do that. It's amazing.
It's one of my favorite things about singing is harmony. And
I love harmonies too. Yeah, that's big. That's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I read on your website, and I thought this was brilliant, was that you started writing later on, but you said that you write and get better with age. It's one thing you can get better with age, and I like that comment.
Thank you.
So, out of all the songs you have written to this point, is there a song you like the best to this point that you've written, or is there you're still?
You know what? I will say there's a song that's special to me, and that's a song called "Seems Like Only Yesterday." It's the first track on the first record I did as a vocalist, and we released it in 2005, and it's called the whole record's called "Best Foot Forward." But that song is really the first song I sat down, I wrote the music, and I wrote the lyrics and recorded it. So that song is, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. There's lots. Some nights, we're rocking on. There's a song called "Difficult to Love" that I wrote for the last record that I did. 4, 3, 2, 1. And
get it in.
And you know what? I was really happy with the way it came out. And most times we play it live, I really enjoy it. But sometimes there's other songs. So it's kind of funny. I consider myself to be an eclectic listener, and I'm an eclectic writer as well. So, just like I said to you before, Level 42 is what I'm listening today. Maybe tomorrow will be Michael Jackson. Maybe the day after that it'll be John Mayer or something like that.
Right.
So
do you have a favorite band then, or is it?
No, I don't have a favorite band.
No, favorite performer of all time, nothing.
Well, I would say most important to me is Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Just in terms of just being a young black kid, growing up and saying, "Oh my God, here's a guy that looks like me that's doing that." It's possible, it's all possible, and
killing
at that level too. And I always remember. I loved Michael Jackson when I was a kid, but when Thriller came out, and then that Motown 25 performance he did where he did Billie Jean, we didn't. Imagine if they had Twitter back then, how would it explode? Because it would have been unbelievable.
Imagine the pictures. And
I know. It would have been nuts.
Social media in general too, right?
Absolutely.
YouTube, everything would have just.
Yeah, it would have just blown up. So, but anyway, I would say Michael Jackson's most important to me. But then I've seen.
So was that? I guess with his passing, then that's got to be
devastating. Devastating. I will never forget that day because ironically, I was at a funeral. I had attended a funeral that day for a colleague that used to work at TSN. And I was coming home, and in fact, coming home to turn around to go back to play a wedding. And I was at home, and I think I had CTV on, and somebody had said TMZ is reporting that Michael Jackson has passed away. And by the time I got to the wedding, it was confirmed. So it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing. I miss him. I still miss him. But I often wonder what would he have done with the last 10 years of his life if it wasn't for all the child abuse allegations and all that stuff. Really, I would say, people used to talk about Prince and Michael Jackson, that whole war. And you think about Prince's career. Prince's career has been solid. He's been busy performing, and he's sort of really, even though he's not mainstream necessarily anymore, he's still on top. And Michael didn't really have that chance. He whether you agree with him with what you think he did it or not, he put himself in a position to have his integrity. There's that word again around kids questioned. So it's really unfortunate. And basically, for the last 10 years of his life, maybe he didn't write, he didn't record. So Prince has this huge vault of music. I'm not sure what Michael has left. Some demos have come out, but that's the sad thing to me.
So I guess at the same time too, his legacy then. as a musician, do you feel that it is sort of tainted because of that, or do you feel that it stands enough? The guy's stuff stands on its own.
Oh,
do you
yes.
feel that the legacy has tainted any of that, or is it still just Michael Jackson performer, and then the other stuff is just there?
I think yeah. For me, I can separate it because I know what I mean. You think about guys today. You think about Justin Timberlake, for example. You think about Usher. You think about Lady Gaga and all these people who are out right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, absolutely every one of those artists is influenced by Michael Jackson. You think about the way videos were shot back then. Now they're mini movies. He was the first guy to do that. Look at the dancing. Look at the choreography that he had in his live shows. I don't know if either of you have seen This Is It, which is the film that they made. I admit that when he announced the tour back in 2008, I was actually thinking this is a mistake, because I thought, let's leave your career, let's leave your legacy as a performer untouched, because I did not want to have him perform and people be able to say, oh, he doesn't have it anymore, or this and that. And then I saw the movie and I was blown away, which is, again, you look and why you think, wow, you saw him performing, he was dancing, he was singing, seemed like he was perfectly healthy. So for him to drop dead at age 50 or
it was 50, yeah.
You just never know what that stuff will do to your system.
Well,
what it's in there.
right.
We've seen of athletes and whatnot, wrestlers, example. You put enough of that stuff in your system, painkillers, sleep medication, everything. Elvis,
Sure.
goes as far back as Elvis, who died from meds and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you agree with this. I mean, one thing I'll go back to when you're saying with Michael Jackson, I remember as a kid we used to get the VHS recorder, you get ready to record it, because his music video was in prime time. And I remember that was a huge thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And I also believe that over time, while our generation gets older, his music will stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger generation, when we are able to play it for our kids, and they'll love the music, and it won't matter what the opinion or what the view of him was back then. It'll be the music that carries on.
I completely understand people who can't have a problem with it, have a hard time separating it. But even before Michael, one of his idols was James Brown. James Brown had some serious issues with drugs and alcohol and was in jail and everything.
Yep.
But James Brown, as a musician, as an artist, as an innovator, you have to separate it. It's on the right hand, on the left hand. Yeah, his personal life wasn't all that great. Ray Charles, huge heroin issues.
Yeah.
We go on and on. But
that's, you could say to any performer that, or most performers that have made it that big have had some sort of substance abuse. There are some who are obviously completely clean, but you can hear all kinds of performers out there, no matter what era.
Johnny Cash is another one.
Exactly, and you look at all the stuff that's come out with Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, the stuff they went through all that time too.
Absolutely. Steven Tyler's still having his issues, right?
Absolutely,
of course.
Absolutely.
But as musicians, even if you go back to the Beatles, they were able to take music light years ahead of where it was in terms of production, in terms of thinking about pop music, but that was because of LSD.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes me think of Pink Floyd right away. Not necessarily LSD, but just the psychedelic side of their evolution, right?
Right.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, and you brought it up just with some of the newer acts that are out, Lady Gaga and stuff. And for me, I guess in a way, I'm stuck in the 70s, 80s, and part of the old grunge movement in the 90s as far as music goes. Where do you see Canadian music, first and foremost, being we're a Canadian show, but what do you make of the younger sort of generation of music that's out there? Is it a good thing, or is it too much? Is it too much of it built in the recording studio, and not enough of it's built in the live act and getting out there in clubs and playing every single night? And it's when you come out there and you play, what we hear on your CDs, we hear that voice in the clubs, whereas you don't necessarily hear that when some of these other acts are out there playing.
Well, I will say for one, just in talking about the younger acts and stuff like that, I feel that there's not enough diversity in our music anymore. Like if you listen to some of the radio stations that are playing top 40 and stuff like that, it's really bubblegum pop, a lot of it. And I'm not trying to slam what people are doing, but I think that the balance, if we go back to when we grew up, or the 80s, 90s, you still heard a lot of diversity on the radio. You don't hear that as much anymore. It's a lot of dance, a lot of sort of pop, and that's fine, but it's not really what I'm into. As far as what you're asking about people being authentic, listen, I can tell you, just being in the studio, there's lots of ways to make yourself sound a lot better than you are.
Yeah.
With technology, and I don't mean it in a way that that, you know, like for example, Autotune. I would never think about. I mean, some people. I will admit that. Not that I sang poorly. I didn't sing poorly at all. But we did go through and auto-tune all my lead vocals just to make sure it was absolutely perfect, because that's what we're up against. Now, there were no big discrepancies at all, if any. You know, I was on pitch, you know, for the most part and everything. But you know, we did do that for the purposes of the record. Where I have an issue is you will hear of some artists singing live with autotune. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. To me,
the prices you pay
for the prices you pay for tickets, I can't believe it. I have only been to a couple of concerts in the last couple of years, but I will tell you who they were, and for me it was a big deal. I went to see Stevie Wonder in 2008, November 2008. He sang for 2.5 hours, didn't take a sip of water. Wow. It was unbelievable.
No intermission,
and everything was in the original key. His voice never cracked, but he was unbelievable. I saw the Police in 2007 when they came. I thought that was awesome. I mean, I've seen Sting a couple times before, but to see the Police as a unit, 3 of them, that was awesome. And they sounded great too. Yeah. And then I saw George Michael.
Wow.
I think it was in 2011. No, he was earlier than that. I can't remember what year it was. But
you went.
I went and saw them at the ACC.
No, but you also went to Europe and seen them.
I went to saw them in Europe too. Yeah, my brother is touring with George right now. My brother's playing drums with George Michael.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
So
I saw him in Europe too, and he sang fantastic. He sounded unbelievable, and I think that's what to me is lacking. You know, I think, you know, when you come back to the Canadian scene, I think it's mostly rock oriented, and I think in that genre you do have people that are playing and singing and doing their thing for the most part. But I still think there's a little bit too much autotune used live at times. But I think that I personally, you know, and I studied jazz in university as well, so I'm used to, you know, either you're playing or you're not playing. You know, there's no in between for me. You know.
No.
So I hope that answers your question as best.
Absolutely.
I do think there's a lot more people too that are coming into the point where they're getting a little fed up with the digital age of it, like you're suggesting, and that it's a video oriented place. If you look good and you look the part, then you can play. And then I think there are some people who are real purists now who are going to the vinyl scene and playing. Okay, I'm either going digital, I'll give you the digital aspect, but if I'm going to release something, I'm releasing it on vinyl.
Well, the company that I'll give them a plug rather. Indie is the company that produced my record, that did the manufacturing for me, and they have digital. They have vinyl now available. If you want to press the vinyl, they'll do it for you, which is really cool. That's old school. I will say that I'm wondering, like I myself, I'm getting, like I said, a little bit tired of the bubblegum pop and dance and stuff like that, and I wonder if we're not going to see something soon like a backlash against disco in the 70s. You know, there was a huge backlash against disco, and specifically the Bee Gees bore the brunt of it, which was unfair.
But it happened again, right, with the end of the 90s there, or sorry, the end of the 80s with the grunge movement, right? I mean, that was sort of the end of that hairband era.
Sort of, you're right, and you know, you wonder if, you know, what would have happened, how things would have gone if Kurt Cobain had lived, because I think he was. I mean, I think of Nirvana and Pearl Jam as the two bands at the front of that movement. But then don't forget as well, we weren't that far removed from Milli Vanilli, and Milli Vanilli to me is really what started this whole thing in terms of style versus substance, in my opinion. You know.
Okay. Well, I have another question for you specifically.
Sure.
I mean, you may not be able to answer it.
Okay. Well, I'll do my best.
I'm wondering what your greatest moment as a performer is, and maybe you haven't been there yet. I mean, do you think you've had it, or do you think it's still? You wish it's still. You hope it's still coming.
You know, that's good. Well, listen, I hope there's lots of great moments. I'll tell you that when I released the CD last year, and I did a CD release party at a place called Train, which is no longer in existence, unfortunately. But that was one of my greatest nights ever in my life. My parents were there. My brother was playing with me. He was there. My girlfriend was there. And lots of, you know, I was able to see, you know, people from my other bands came out, people from grade school came out to support it. You know, it was just a great night. I mean, I remember that very well, obviously because it just happened. But honestly, the other great moment that still burned in my mind is when I was in high school. We did an exchange program with the Fife Youth Orchestra in Scotland, and we went to Scotland and played. And the same combo that I talked about, that I was singing and playing guitar in, we got a standing ovation in Scotland. And imagine being 18 years old, one of the second or third times you're that far away from home, and you're doing what you love with your peers, with your colleagues, and you get a standing ovation. I'll never forget it. It was very important to me. And honestly, I would say it's one of those moments that I go, oh, I'm good at this. Maybe I should pursue this. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 1988.
Well, I was wondering if you were, and I was going to say, if you haven't had it already, is there something you musically would love to do? And I was thinking, and I could be way off.
Okay.
How about the national anthem at a Habs game?
Ooh, national anthem at a Habs game would be fantastic. I would love that. Of course, I'd have to learn to sing in French, but that's fine. I think I could do that. Yeah, that'd be good. You know what? It's funny. I have in the past, and I hope to do some more work with kids in the future. I was doing something with a group called CARE. It's Community Alliance for York Region Education. It's all about bullying and anti-bullying and leadership programs for kids. These are kids that are 9 and 10 years old in grades 5 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're a little older than that. But what would happen is they do a seminar with the kids in the morning, talking about the importance of respecting your peers and whatnot. And again, this all comes back to integrity and how you carry yourself, which I think is important. But they were talking about all that stuff. And then in the afternoon, I'd show up with my trio, which is Michael Ocapenti and Louis Samau, and we would play a couple tunes. We talk about the importance of teamwork in a band situation. I would talk about TSN. I would talk about the importance of teamwork behind the camera, your tape ops and your directors, your producers, your cameraman, all that stuff. And we would play for them. But one kid asked me once, he said, are you famous? And I said, no, I'm not famous, but if I can do what I'm doing right now and always enjoy playing and play my music, I'll be very happy. If fame comes because of that, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't, that's fine still. And I've been very fortunate. I've made the record I wanted to make. I want to make another record to go along with that, but I've been fortunate, so I have no complaints. That doesn't say I'm not trying to do more things. I did a couple of big shows this summer, which I was really proud of. Markham Jazz Festival, Toronto Jazz Festival, and I'm hoping that next year I'll do more. So it just goes each year, hoping to get better.
Bunch of building blocks. You gotta go somehow.
Okay, so before we maybe venture into the sport aspect we're going to go to, you have a couple CDs out. Where can people get those?
Well, I do sell them from the stage, but the most recent CD is called LM4321. It was released in March of 2011, and it's almost all original material, but you can get it on iTunes. Just go on iTunes and punch in Lester McLean, and 4321 will come up. And also the first record is a Lester McLean trio that's called Best Foot Forward, and that is available on iTunes as well.
Right. And you have a website, LesterMcLean.com.
LesterMcLean.com.
And you're on Twitter.
And I'm on Twitter as well. I'm on Facebook, Lester McLean fan page as well.
Yeah, so
a couple of live shows coming up this week too, but you can check that out. I won't plug those here. Just check them out on the website if you feel so inclined.
Well, I mean, I don't mind plugging them. You're at the beer market this Thursday.
Beer market with Grooveyard, yes.
Yeah, and then you're at the beer market.
Beer market Don Mills. Next week, the 6th of October, I think, and that is with my band, Lester McLean. Yes.
So hear more of Lester's interview in part 2 of the Ryan Show special.
Sunshine, it may be hot, but that's a small price for you to pay for a measure that lasts a lifetime. Out among the mountains,